What's up, family? Welcome back to the channel. Happy Monday. This is actually the first Monday that I'm doing content of the new year because, of course, the first Mondays of the month, I typically try to take a break. But today we're back for a conversation, and I pulled together some quick notes on this subject, and we're going to jump into it in a few. Let me make sure I hit all my announcements. Of course, if you haven't already, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the alert notification bell, and consider joining, supporting, or connecting with this community channel or content in any way that makes sense for you. Share this video because I think this one might make a difference in someone's life. And of course, don't forget to check out the merch and the books because we have a lot of that. And of course, our community has a lot of things that we're planning coming up. So please be on the lookout. We're planning on being in Raleigh, North Carolina in April. April 420, as a matter of fact. So yeah, that's going to be fun. Yeah, we have a lot of good things going on. Okay, so let me jump into this conversation. So this morning, I wake up, do my little routine, get ready for the day. Obviously, shaving is not a part of my routine, but anyway, get ready for the day. And just so I happen to scroll through Facebook, check on some people who are, important to me, some people who I partner with, in I was about to say ministry, but in community, And so I looked at somebody's, and it was Kyle. Y'all seen Kyle. He's on the Ex-Pastor Call-In show with me. And he shared a post that someone else had shared. And this is basically where this conversation comes from. I'm just going to read what not what Kyle wrote, because what Kyle wrote was great. I'm going to read what the post was that Kyle shared. It says, God will not be mocked. 2 days before, they mocked God at the Golden Globes event and called him the creator of the universe, but scored a 0. The audience laughed at that. Aha! Enjoying the blasphemy. 2 days later, there was the loss of life and billions of dollars in damages. If you want to mock God, you will suffer the consequences. First, I want to say that is absolutely sickening. And we really should be paying attention to people who portray that way, who live life that way. I'm not the person who says all Christians are not healthy, all Christians are crazy or anything like that. But this person is not healthy. And the reality is there are way too many people like this who share that viewpoint. And those people, if they don't get the help they need, they are a real danger to society. A clear and present danger, to quote a novel and a movie. All right, so there's a peculiar pathology embedded in Christian responses to tragedy, like these. From natural disasters to pandemics, the knee-jerk reaction of many believers seems less about compassion and more about exaltation. This fixation on punishment, particularly as it relates to these recent fires in California, reveals something profoundly unsettling about the worldview that they claim to represent. This stuff is, I've spent a whole year at this moment highlighting many of the problematic issues with Christianity as it exists, And the sad thing is, I don't have to stretch any of this shit. I don't have to exaggerate, I don't have to create hyperbole here. Christian behavior has become so sickening, and it ain't even become so sickening. It's always been sickening, but we've given it a free pass for so long. But this behavior is absolutely sickening, and it's about time that we start calling a spade, and maybe by doing so, we'll solve many of the social problems within our world. But I do want to unpack this, right? I want to walk through this. I want to unpack this. Number one, they love to gravitate to the judgment of God as a convenient explanation, and just be very mindful that judgment is convenient for them. I mean, that speaks volumes. The fires in California, like many human tragedies, has been labeled by Christians as the absolute divine judgment of God. And this rhetoric is not new. Whether it's hurricanes, earthquakes, or fires, these events are seen as divine retribution for societal sins, a narrative as predictable as it is cruel. I remember having to come to terms with this and wrestle with this as a believer, as a pastor. I remember I've mentioned this in several of my videos before because it stood out to me just so vehemently, for lack of better words, where people were having these imprecatory responses to to the tsunamis in Indonesia. And I remember Christians who didn't know a fucking thing about Indonesia, just running around claiming. I'm talking about pastors and lay people. You know what I'm saying? Which I just have to hit this. This is why I highlight that pastors are not the problem in Christianity. Pastors are the exact same kind of victim that believers are. They both believe the same bullshit. You know? Please understand that. But pastors and lay people going around telling people that God sent those tsunamis to Indonesia because those people worshiped fish over there. Sound like somebody took a VeggieTale movie a little too damn far. You know what I'm saying? But while I will not go as far to say that Christians are not intelligent, I will go as far to say Christians are willfully and purposefully ignorant around the things that concern their faith and their God. Fight me on it. You know what I'm saying? But this is the Christian response to tragedy. Okay? Lost lives, man. It is like they get worked up into a frenzy, man, into an excited frenzy about mass catastrophe. Just scroll through Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and see how many Christians are absolutely beside themselves, giddy with content that their God has issued judgment. And in this case, the judgment God issued against thousands of people, maybe even hundreds of thousands at this moment, for sure tens of thousands, has absolutely nothing to do with those people, but has something to do with the fucking Golden Globes. Yeah, sure, because regular people was at the fucking Golden Globes. No, I promise you, the people who were at the Golden Globes are fucking okay. You see how stupid you have to be to approach something like this, to say, yep, this is God punishing the Golden Globes by sending fire among poor people. You fucking heartless bastard. You know, like shit. These disasters are not viewed with sorrow, but as thrilling evidence of their God's anger and power. The glee with which some believers declare divine punishment is absolutely disturbing. And in a reality where we absolutely know that this isn't no fucking divine punishment, this is the result of environmental conditions in a world where we know where there is no God, to look at people behaving that way is absolutely unsettling. Because then you know that there isn't, you know that this person, oh my goodness, okay, I've mentioned this point before, but I got to bring it back. So watch this. This is a real natural disaster that is absolutely destroying lives right now. And Christians are praising God for it. All right. I want to take you back to a book that Sam Harris wrote. I believe it was called Letter to a Christian Nation. I believe that's the name of it. I read that book about 2020, 2021. There was absolutely one paragraph where when I got into that, I was like, holy shit, he is not wrong. And it actually kind of shook me out of silent atheism. That was the moment where I realized, like, oh, damn, I can't really be quiet. Now, it still took me like 2 other years, but I realized, like, because this is real. What it was he said, if a fiery comet or asteroid large enough to destroy the planet was headed towards the earth, and it was on fire, just blooming, and headed towards the earth, there's a significant part of the American population who would be in churches on their knees, literally saying, "Come, Lord Jesus, come." You know, that they would be, as they have already been, considering any scientific intervention as playing God. We must realize that this cult of Christianity is absolutely obsessed with death and destruction. You know, please understand that Christianity is in the minority when it comes to religions that have that requires the earth to be destroyed. That's not a requirement in most religions. Why is it that the religion you gravitate to is the one that needs the earth to be destroyed? Do you not realize that's not a common staple of religious belief? But Christians, this cult of Christianity, is absolutely obsessed with death and destruction, which is why they revel in it so much and is why they deal so much of it out. It would be the Christian nation that is the warmongering nation. Yeah, we're gonna get some help. We're gonna get some help around here. The problems come when we stop calling spades spades and when we stop learning, you know? And that's something I grew up in, like in the household and the culture that I grew up with. When people were fucked up, you just pretended like they weren't. You know? When old people were mean and vile and rude, you just said, "Oh, that's just how they are." When people were aggressive, assertive, when they were bullies, instead of calling it a fucking spade, we said, "Well, that's just their personality." Fuck that shit. Grow the fuck up or stay the fuck away from me. Because I'm always going to call a spade because I want you to grow. I want you to grow the fuck up so you stop causing harm unnecessarily. You know, like, damn it. The amount of glee that Christians get about this stuff is crazy. I remember sitting in a service one time. It was at a quartet thing, and I don't really like quartet music, like gospel quartet. It's its own little thing. I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of the content of the music, and I'm not a fan of the mindsets and type of people it attracts. Yikes! I know that sounds bad, but it is what it is. I'm just being honest. So I don't really like quartet music. But I was at this quartet singing, and they were singing this song. Y'all have probably heard me tell the story, but it's relevant to this. The song goes, "God told Noah just to build an ark, 50 cubits wide, 50 cubits wide." And they do all that shit, right? And they get to the end of the song, and there's a dripping and dropping, and the water kept falling, dripping and dropping, and the water kept falling, dripping and dropping. And then the water kept falling. And they hyping it by this moment. And what they're talking about is the Lord flooding the fucking earth. They're talking about, what they're singing about at that moment is the death in their minds, because I don't believe that should happen, but in their minds, they believe that everybody on the planet except Noah's family died, that God killed them. And Christians decide, oh, what a lovely song this would be. Dripping and dropping and the water kept falling. But then they go, "No more water, fire next time. No more water, fire next time." And then the old ladies in the church, they start saying, "Yeah, thank you, Jesus." And they start running around the church. And I remember sitting there feeling sick to my fucking stomach, thinking, what type of people can be getting excited about the thought of the death of millions or hundreds of millions of people? This is a cult of death and destruction. It's absolutely insane that we have a whole country of people unwilling to call a spade a fucking spade. How much longer will we pretend that this is not what it is? To celebrate these tragedies as acts of divine will is to dehumanize those who suffer. Behind every lost home, Every life cut short are real people, families torn apart, futures obliterated. Yet Christians, knowing nothing of the people affected, not having any relationship with them, any insight to their lives, you just automatically assume their guilt. They're convinced that the destruction is deserved simply because it occurred. And whoa, that's a whole moment. That's a whole moment. Because that is a real issue within Christianity. They're convinced that the destruction is deserved simply because it has occurred. So if it happens, well, God must have wanted it to happen. So you must have did something to deserve it. These are sick folk. Calling them childish is an injustice, is an insult to children. Because my children have more humanity than that. I've mentioned before, just with my own life, that Christianity was never the reason for my empathy. It was always a hindrance to my empathy. Christianity was never the reason for my humanity. It was always the barrier to my humanity. This worldview dulls empathy. When tragedy is reframed as divine justice, it becomes easy to ignore the humanity of the victims. The focus shifts from relief efforts or compassion to smug proclamations of God's will. What's very interesting here is that the God celebrated in these moments is not one of mercy or compassion, but one of wrath and vengeance, one of blood, one who says, if you say something I don't like, I will kill millions of people who had nothing to do with what you said. How does this align with the claim of a loving, benevolent deity? It doesn't. And that's the tricknology, to use a word from the Nation of Islam, that's the tricknology that Christians use against you. Dang, I felt like Farrakhan for a moment. That Christians use against you. They tell you that God in the Old Testament was the vengeful God, that the God of the New Testament is all loving. Then why the fuck aren't they all loving? Why is it that every chance they get to say God did that, the thing that God did is destruction? Come on now. This cognitive dissonance is papered over with the platitudes that cannot reconcile the incongruity. At the end of the day, Christians have promoted their God as punisher in chief. This theology highlights a fatal flaw, a deity more visibly active in destroying lives than saving lives. This God is more active in destruction than he is in salvation. This God can destroy thousands of acres of property and hundreds of thousands of lives, but can't cure one person of cancer, can't heal one amputee, can't keep one little old lady who's been faithful to the church her whole little life from getting dementia, can't save people when 9/11 happens, is nowhere to be found during the transatlantic slave trade and the Ma'afa, which includes the Arabic slave trade, which most people just kind of fucking forget about, that in many ways still continues to this day. No, nowhere to be found during the Holocaust when its chosen people are being slaughtered. This God can't be found as a saving force in any catastrophe, but is often found as the driving force behind all catastrophe. Christians, for whatever reason, whatever their relationship is with this deity, for whatever reason, when they see destruction, they say, yeah, that's my God. You need to think about that. What type of person attaches themselves to that? See, that's a sickness, you know? If God's methods are indistinguishable from that of a tyrant, what does that say about the moral character of such a God? Which one of us, in good ethics, would say, this man has offended me, and so because he has offended me, I must kill him, his wife, his children, and everybody that lives in his neighborhood, and destroy all their property? What good person takes that approach? We have long evolved from this antiquated worldview, but yet Christians still attach this worldview to the thing that they say is the source of their morality, which should be highly concerning for the rest of us. I don't want to be around you, motherfuckers. Christians' obsession with punishment reveals another critical flaw in their representation of God. Discipline is a method that teaches, guides, and rehabilitates, which is greater than punishment, as we have learned. Yet, God's chosen method is to destroy rather than to instruct, because it seems that God has not learned the lessons that we have. But again, I've highlighted over and over again that God never seems to learn his fucking lessons. He is a failure from day fucking one. He created heavens, war broke out there. He created the Garden of Eden, them motherfuckers had to be kicked out. You know what I'm saying? Hell might be the safest place in God's domain, because that's the one place where he ain't fucking with shit. You know? Like, God is the one you don't want cooking nothing at the barbecue. Don't you bring shit. You just bring some paper plates. You know what? And then you're going to bring the wrong fucking paper plates, because God is a royal fuck up. Okay? And any Christian watching this and you think about getting mad at me, think about your fucking life before you do. Think long and hard about your life. Think about every night you've cried into that pillow screaming, why won't you talk to me? If that God cannot show his face or whisper a word to you to comfort you, that God indeed is a royal fuck up. That God can't whisper to comfort you, but he can destroy thousands of lives in California because somebody snubbed him at the Golden Globes. Globes. What are globes? Globes. I'm leaving it in. I don't edit this shit. I don't have the bandwidth to edit it. I don't. This is why you get it raw, unfiltered, and uncut. As the team grows, as the community grows, we'll start throwing some extra shit in here. Until now, you get it all. So yeah, this is a God who chooses punishment over discipline. You know, if God was a person, we'd all want him, we'd all probably be okay with this God getting the death penalty for child abuse. You know, I'm not a fan of capital punishment. I'm not. But this God, yeesh, I think he deserves it. You know, damn, we've talked about doing a skit about firing God. Now I want to do a skit about executing God. Oh, and there's so many ways to do that, because when I first thought about it, it was just like, like an electric chair or lethal injection. But then I started thinking about like guerrilla warfare style execution. Like, nah, you got to die, motherfucker. I'm sorry. But you know, that's for my creative side. Like, I don't have any hostility in that. It's just, that's the artist in me. It's art, All right. So, oh man. Okay. So, from biblical floods to modern wildfires, the evidence presented by believers is overwhelmingly one of devastation, death, and destruction. What kind of deity prefers annihilation to education, terror to tenderness? Like, you ever think about that? Like, think about this. Your God is so perfect that he creates an earth that he has to destroy and make again. That doesn't sound like a perfect earth. It sounds like the first attempt at a pancake. You got to throw the first one out. You know, if God can't make his first batch of pancakes right, how is this motherfucker perfect? You get what I'm saying? Like the idea of perfection for me, number one, is mythology itself. What the fuck is perfect? You know, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. The belief that tragedy equals divine punishment speaks to a deeply troubling mindset. It fosters a callous indifference to suffering and a warped sense of justice that revels in the pain of others, which is partly what has led this country to having the highest criminal prison population in the world or across the globe. I don't know what other galaxies are doing. I don't know. Can't assume. Can't. I can speculate. I can speculate that absolutely nothing is going over there until we find out otherwise. But that's this mindset that has created such a type of sensationalism around villainizing people and criminalizing people because so many Americans are attached to the idea of punishing other folk because so many of them have been indoctrinated by this death cult. And so their whole idea is anytime somebody is doing something I don't like, I should hurt them. This is not healthy. Just as a side note, I hope conversations like this help us confront our pathology of criminology in this country. We create criminals where they do not exist over and over again just to satisfy our need to punish somebody. You know, again, this is why I don't jail with a lot of a lot of people claim to be humanists. And I'm like, I don't see how we're really humanists if we don't care about how many people are in prison who didn't actually do anything wrong. That's the problems this country has created. Get the fuck out of here. Tell me you're a humanist. No, you only care about one particular thing. And if I'm not, and if I'm concerned about my thing, you'll tell me I'm doing the wrong thing because I'm not concerned, because you assume I'm not concerned about your thing. When the reality is the difference between me and most other people is that I'm concerned about the whole thing. I told you my journey to humanism was through Pan-Africanism. My journey to Pan-Africanism was through Black nationalism. And so now I've literally gotten to the place where I see all people the way I see my own people. And I see that for several reasons. Number one, regardless of what happens, my children have to live in this world, and their children will have to live in this world. And in order for people to live in this world healthily, I need everybody to be as healthy as they fucking can be. Because hurt people hurt people. You get what I'm saying? It's really simple. It's really simple. This is why I don't like what much of the secular community is doing, because half of this shit is just finding a way to hurt the people who hurt you instead of trying to help the people who are hurt. I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna get off my soapbox, but y'all know I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna go there because I always want you to fucking know who I am, so that you don't get me confused with nobody else. You know, and so you don't invite me to shit that I'm not interested in. Also, because I hate saying no to people. I hate it. I mean, I'm good at it, but I hate it. You know, man. This perspective indicts the pathology of those who hold it. What kind of person finds satisfaction or validation in mass tragedy? Honestly, many Americans, over and over again. Okay? Such thinking reflects a state of mind more aligned with cruelty than compassion, more obsessed with vengeance than virtue. The Christian obsession with punishment, their gleeful declarations of divine judgment during disasters like the California fires, is not just a flaw in theology. but a flaw in humanity. It dehumanizes victims, desensitizes believers, and reveals a God more active in destruction than salvation. If this is the God they celebrate, it raises a profound question. Are they worshiping a deity of love, or are they simply venerating power, regardless of how it manifests? The answer has implications not just for faith, but for the moral fabric of those who hold it. I hope I've said something in this conversation that has given you something to chew on, given you something to think about, and most importantly, made it clear to you how important it is for us to be building community that counteracts these unhealthy and unproductive mindsets, perspectives, and worldviews. Many of these people who hold these damning and dangerous worldviews have not been exposed in a safe way to healthier options. This is why I am 100% committed to doing everything I can to sound the alarm and raise up, train up, spark up, encourage as many people as I can to become fearless community leaders and just start experimenting with building community where you are that is beyond superstition, that is progressive thinking, people centric, life affirming, so that we can create a place that cultivates healthier people, that can build healthier relationships, that can produce healthier outcomes. Thank you for watching this video. That's all I got for you for now. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that alert notification bell. Consider joining, supporting, or connecting this community channel or content in any way that makes sense for you. And share this video with somebody who you think it'll make a difference in their lives. And last but not least, check out our merch and our products. That's an easy way to support the work that we're doing while also spreading the values. And of course, if you're in the Raleigh area and you want to help with this event, let us know and get in our Discord. That's where we need you at. We need you in the Discord. If you don't know how to get there, comment and I will share the link to get you in there. And also, even if you're not in the Raleigh area, wherever you're watching from, let us know. We're going to 4 different cities this year. We're planning on it. Almost said God willing. We're planning on being in 4 different cities this year to really build some people-centric community and really have some celebrations, man. And so I hope y'all are excited about that as we are. But the way we pick where we're going is we're looking at our map. So please let us know where you're at, and your city might be on the list either this year or next year. All right, that's all I have for you all. Have a wonderful day. Until next time, keep rising, stay progressive, and as always, stay beautiful if you can. I'll holla.